Okay, it's Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, and we are calling this regular meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission to order. Gus, can we have a roll call, please?
Chair Gabbard,
Here.
Vice Chair Amy Stein,
Here.
Commissioner Mike Westcott, Commissioner Carrie Snyder, Commissioner Cynthia Mala, and Advisory Kimberly Hillian.
Okay. We invite the public to provide comments at this time. We cannot discuss anything that's not specifically on the agenda. However, we can direct staff to study a matter, respond to any criticism, or schedule the matter for further consideration. Do we have anyone in the public that wishes to speak about something that's not on the agenda? Okay. All right, on to approval of minutes. Minutes from March 3rd. Any additions, redactions?
May I pose a question to the commission? Voting for the approval of the minutes. I've read the minutes and I reviewed the video. Does that put me in a position to vote to approve the minutes or not?
Can you repeat that?
I was not present at the last meeting. However, I have reviewed the minutes as they're written and I watched the video of the meeting. Would you like me to participating in the vote of the approval or disapproval of the minutes?
Yeah, you can do that.
Thank you.
All right, then I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 3rd, 2026.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, on to staff updates, Historic Preservation Month.
Yes, so May is Historic Preservation Month. And this year, just with everything else going on, not a lot of time to come up with something grandiose. But the theme this year is people who save places, I believe. People who, you're not, I said, you know, okay. So it's something like that. It's in the, actually, I think I did a little staff report. Anyway, so our thoughts were to actually focus on the Historic Preservation Commission. And I was hoping that you guys would like to participate. I just need a picture that you like, a short little teeny tiny bio, and then whatever place or building, you know, speaks to your heart. That's your favorite in Clarkdale. And then what I'm going to do is feature, just like for like 5 or 6 days, I'm going to feature each one of you on the town's website for the month of May. That's our grandioso idea. And then next year, we can actually start planning something and do something a little bit more robust for Historic Preservation Month. But those were our thoughts for this year.
Could you please restate the 3 key points you'd like for us to?
So just a quick bio, just a little, you know, just something about yourself, obviously why historic preservation, what it means to you, and then just what your favorite like building and or like place. It could be the park, it could be, you know, one of the buildings downtown. It could really be anything. And then I'm going to put it all together and then we're going to feature you on the website. Just for like 5 or 6 days at a time. So that's just our thoughts. I don't know if you guys had any other ideas or if you think that would work for this year. And like I said, next year we can work on something a little more robust that would maybe draw on the community. I know they do things like scavenger hunts and things of that nature. Any thoughts?
I think it sounds fine. Not that
okay?
probably any of us have a real favorite picture of ourselves out there, but
I
yeah.
know.
But I
know.
but I understand you wanting to do something. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And it won't be real big. I mean, if anything, it'll probably just say, there'll probably be like some kind of button to click on, and then it'll go to a page that will like feature you. So it's not like your picture will be right on the front web page.
And just a short bio and
Super
description or
short,
something.
yeah.
2 or 3 sentences, 3 or 4 or
Yeah,
5
just
sentences,
really
whatever.
like, I
Okay.
mean, the main thing is like, why, what is like, basically what is historic preservation mean to you? Like, why do you, why are you involved? Like, what does it, doesn't have to be long and involved.
So a paragraph of perhaps no more than 10 sentences?
Yeah.
I'm being sincere.
I would, yeah, I would not do any more than, I'd say a paragraph is, doesn't need to be super, super in depth. Anyway, so that would be just the staff updates for.
Okay, on to our certified local government presentation. Ariana Urban, are you ready? And thank you for coming, by the way.
Is this better? Okay, great. Yeah, my name is Ariana Urban. I am a historic preservationist and a planner. And I am currently the certified local government coordinator at the State Historic Preservation Office. I am, oh, I can stand like way back here. Okay. Wasn't expecting. Okay, is this okay? Nope. Is that okay? Okay, that sounds good. Yep. I'll just like lean. It's okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah. It is me. Sorry. Okay. I can yell. Oh, but it won't come out on the video, is that? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Okay, great. Wonderful. Thank you guys. No. I haven't done this in a while, actually. I've been at SHPO for 5 years now, and for the first couple of years, I had this job. I was like on a road show all over the state doing trainings and presentations, and it slowed down a little bit because of our budget uncertainties. But so I'm a little rusty, if you'll bear with me. But my name's Ariana. I am a Arizona native, born and raised. I love Arizona more than anything. Oh, I was born and raised in Phoenix. I know I live in Flagstaff now, so I tried to fix it. But I love Arizona and I love historic preservation. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. I just like see buildings when I close my eyes at night, and also love Clarkdale. I first came up here when I was in high school, and just I didn't even know that Clarkdale existed. And my dad brought me up here, and I was like, there's a city, beautiful town in the middle of the Verde Valley out here. I had no idea. And it was, I mean, yeah, it was like more than 20 years ago, and I've loved it ever since. So, today I wanted to come to you guys. I know that you are in the process of working on a certified local government, and that some kind of certified local government process has been in the works for a while, if I understand correctly. When Clover came on and Scott, they reached out to me to see sort of where we were in the process and what was going on. And this whole time, you guys have had a historic preservation commission, which is extraordinary because to have your Historic Preservation Commission up and running is a huge step in the process of becoming a certified local government. It's like 3/4 of the battle, I would say. So you guys are already effectively doing it, and now it's just going to be a matter of some more administrative things. And we'll talk about that in a second. I always like to ask you guys who you are. If you wouldn't mind just giving me like one sentence about how you came to historic preservation. I would really love to hear. Yeah.
Hi, Ariana and I met at the Historic Preservation Convention 2 years ago, I think
so.
it was.
Yeah.
And as far as historic preservation, I've come to it late in life. I had a career in something completely different, and I wish I could go back to being 20 years old so I can change my major. But anyway, I'm here now, and I got particularly interested in historic preservation when I moved to Clarkdale because it's such an amazing historic town. And I was involved in the bandstand historic renovation, which was a huge accomplishment for the town, and got the governor's heritage award for that. So
I didn't even.
that me. Woo. There is something going on.
It's fine. My friend sent me a meme that was like, when I get older, I'm gonna buy a historic house, and so I know that the scary noises in the house are ghosts and not just like the pipes not working or the house just making noise. It could be that too. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, anyway, that's the long and short of it, I guess. And I'm really excited to be on the commission and being able to be involved in the future for historic preservation in Clarkdale.
My name is Amy Stein. I'm a retired history professor. I studied historic preservation and museum studies along with art history at the U of A. Did some work in historic preservation in Bisbee back in the day. And I, at one point, with respect to historic preservation, cleaned oil paintings. At present, I'm on the commission because someone talked me into it.
Good.
I'm Matt Gubard. I'm an archaeologist. I work for the Park Service, Montezuma Castle in Tusagoon.
Wonderful. That's so good to hear. Wow. Wow. Definitely. Yeah, that's it.
And I'm Carrie Snyder. I have lived here in Clarkdale well, I've been in the area, and my family has had businesses in Clarkdale since 1976. So this summer will be 50 years. I was previously on design review.
Oh, good.
And design review kind of disbanded. And so I moved over here to HBC. I have restored a building on Main Street and went through SHPO and got all of the approvals and the tax credits and did all that back in the early 2000s.
Oh, man.
I have been in downtown and owned properties in downtown in Clarkdale.
Thank you. You guys, I am going to pander to you for a second because I always like to do this. Thank you for spending your free time and your free energy on being on the Historic Preservation Commission. It's not a paid position. You are not compensated for your time. And it can be thankless sometimes, you know, when things get heated or controversial. You guys can be stuck in the middle of it sometimes, and it's not easy. So I just personally want to say thank you for taking the time and being here after work. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I know this is a little silly, like just bear with me for a second though. What is historic preservation? Also, if you guys have any questions, just stop me. I get excited and I can just keep talking and talking. So please stop me. And we can talk a lot about, you guys already know what historic preservation is. You sit on the Historic Preservation Council, but what we're kind of shopping around now in terms of historic preservation is starting to look a little different because we know that change is coming. development is always going to come. It's never going to stop. It shouldn't stop in some ways, right? Because we need economic drivers and engines for our towns and for our futures. And historic preservation, the most important thing that we want to get across to communities right now is that historic preservation is not anti-change. It kind of sounds like it, but it really isn't. We're not trying to, block anyone from, their property rights. We're not trying to freeze a town or a house or a building in a block of ice so it stays exactly the same forever. Very rarely does that actually happen in historic preservation, but we're looking at preservation now as a tool to manage that inevitable change that we all know is coming and is coming right now. So, of course, I don't need to tell you this. This is a slide that I take to places like Show Low, who are kind of like, historic, what? But cities have values because of the places that make them special. And those unique elements are almost always going to be historic. And so losing one of those or two of those historic buildings might not be like the end of the world, but eventually it builds up and all of a sudden we look around and we don't recognize where we live anymore because everything just looks like Walgreens's and Applebee's, and we could be in like Amarillo, Texas or wherever, right? And so we want to be able to incorporate historic preservation, historic resource into the change. We just want to see it at the table. And it sometimes and oftentimes only takes just a little bit of creativity to say, I know we need this affordable housing development, and at the same time, there is an important historic resource on this parcel. How about instead of demolishing it, we can incorporate it into the public housing community. We can make it the clubhouse or the offices or, a rec room. And there's all kinds of evidence for people being happier in historic places, empirical evidence for people being happier in historic places, having, better qualities of life because they interact with or live in historic environments. And so these are the kinds of things that we're now sort of trying to make the face of historic preservation rather than just like, So I hope that rings with you guys. I can talk to you more about how we sort of talk about that, but okay. So how many of you guys are familiar with the CLG program? Okay, for sure. Okay, good. So the Certified Local Government Program is a program that's jointly administered by SHPO and by the National Park Service. And right now, the Park Service staff in the CLG program is waning. So it's being increasingly, it's been increasingly difficult to do this, but we're pressing on until we're told otherwise. But what a certified local government is genuinely just a commitment to preserving that public character and the identity that Clarkdale has. And so it's a certification, like it says, and a town or a city goes through an application process. It's not short, it's long, because these are all the things that are necessary to become a CLG. And once a city achieves all these things and also achieves these things in a way that the Park Service in Washington, D.C. likes and is okay with, then they will certify a town as a certified local government, and we at SHPO will also sign off on that certification. And so it's sort of like a prestige program we have in Arizona. Right now there are 30 CLGs, and we started certifying them in 1985. Florence was the very first CLG. And yeah, and yeah, it's sort of like why would we want to be a CLG? I think we can go to the next slide. Okay, so these are just a couple things. The big thing is grants. We can give you money if you become certified as a local government, and technical assistance, of course, in any sort of like development cases, planning, zoning. That's my wheelhouse, and so I have planners all over the state calling me, going, I don't know if these changes to historic buildings are really the right thing. Can you take a look at this application? Yeah, absolutely, of course. I do trainings. And to be honest with you, I will do trainings whether you become a CLG or not. Really, like, the Arizona SHPO is not trying to coerce anyone into becoming a CLG. We really need it to come from the community itself, rather than us. We never come and impose historic preservation on a city or a town. You know, you get to become part of the statewide and the regional historic preservation network of friends. Cynthia was able to come to the conference a few years ago, and it's just so fun and so cool to be able to be with a bunch of people that get it and get you. Because when we're out here in the world, sometimes it's hard. It's actually often hard because you feel like a silo. You are the only one. It feels like you're the only one, or you're the only group of people that care about a building or a district or an environment of some kind. But then you get to be together, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, again, we know that historic places, preserved historic places are, you know, empirically have greater levels of tourism. People come to Clarkdale because they want to see historic Clarkdale. And I could go on about that with how special Clarkdale is, of course, but we've seen these things be real drivers for economic development. You were able to utilize the historic tax incentives to be able to rehabilitate and bring back into use a building. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Yes, and ultimately, we have money. We have it, and we're required by the Park Service every year to hand out about $100,000 in CLG grants. And we do have a matching requirement that can be done in volunteer time or staff time. It doesn't have to be cash by any means. And the trick for these grants is that they're not for bricks and mortar projects. They're just for historic preservation planning. So if you guys do want to write a historic preservation master plan or an element in the new general plan, if you guys are doing one, or even a new historic district or updating an old historic district. We can also pay for architects or engineers to come and do surveys of specific buildings or blocks that are being interested in reinvestment. And also we can sponsor workshops and lectures and any kind of non-bricks and mortar stuff. So this is the big incentive, and we've really seen a lot of good be produced from our CLG grants. In Oro Valley, you might say, what's old in Oro Valley? They're a CLG, but they only have one historic property in their whole town, and it's the Steam Pump Ranch, which is out a little bit, but it needed help, and so their city administrators got together and said, you know, we might not have a lot, but we want to invest in Steam Pump Ranch, and so now they're a CLG. And now Oro Valley, the things that were built in the 70s are becoming historic, and so they're aging into it. But yeah, it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be big, but we want to help as best we can. Okay, so many of you might either know or not many. You guys might know or not know sort of what has happened up until this point to work on the CLG process application. I've only been here for 5 years, and this predates me significantly from what I understand. So there have been conversations in Clarkdale. Clarkdale is a slam dunk for a certified local government in terms of importance, significance, history, amount. Yeah. Oh, okay. Ghost, are you okay? Okay. It's a slam dunk, right? That's true. It's a slam dunk. It's a shoe-in. It's like a no-brainer that Clarkdale is qualified and has the resources necessary to become a certified local government. It's one that should already be for any intents and purposes. Just because it should doesn't mean it is, and there are lots of towns in Arizona that are not CLGs that also should be, but over the years, I really think it's been maybe 15 to 20 years that Clarkdale has on and off started to work on a CLG application. Pardon me. Started to work on a CLG application, and it's not there yet. You guys have your Historic Preservation Commission and you have your Historic Preservation Ordinance in your town code, and it might seem like, oh, okay, perfect. Like we've got what we need. We have our commission, we have the laws, let's go. And years ago, the Park Service was cool with that. They were okay with sort of a less robust CLG application, but these days, unfortunately, they are becoming extremely strict. And I have recently tried to certify Chandler and Douglas, who are, have passed significant text amendments in their ordinances. They've put together commissions, they've been meeting, they've been doing things, they've been locally nominating properties, And I sent their applications packaged up and sent them to the Park Service, and they just said, no, we don't like that. We don't like this one line in your ordinance, so we're gonna not. And so it's been hard. It's been really frustrating to sort of understand what it is they want and what they're looking for. Unfortunately, we have a disadvantage of being out here in the West where the staff in Washington, D.C. they don't get it. They don't understand Prop 207. They don't understand sort of the kind of lack of institutional culture that we have for historic preservation in Arizona in general, everywhere. Back east, there are lots of rich people with lots of money that just give it away, that endow nonprofits, and it's completely different. And so that is our biggest challenge, is trying to explain to them, like, we really need to be extremely conscious of property rights and all the special things that challenge us to do preservation in Arizona. So all that said, here's where we are. You guys have got your Historic Preservation Commission, so that's great. And you guys are impressive. Like, the Park Service is going to be excited about your backgrounds and your professional capabilities and your experience in preservation. So that is wonderful. And by default, this is considered your public participation process, which is a big component of the ordinance that needs to happen. The big thing now is going to be that the ordinance needs some work. I was able to take a look at it with Clover. We met about a month ago, and it just needs to be fleshed out in some places. We need some clarification on other things, and we actually have some new ideas, which hopefully are going to be palatable to you guys, to your neighbors, to mayor and council, so we can really try and get you guys certified at the CLG. Okay, so these are the big things that stood out for me when Clover and I were looking at the ordinance. So right now, how familiar are you guys with your historic preservation ordinance? Have you guys taken a look at it? And yeah, okay, very good. Were any of you guys involved with writing it in the first place? Good, okay, very good. How long ago was that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and I want to preface all this by saying I know how hard it is to pass a historic preservation ordinance. It is a massive, massive accomplishment. And there are voices and interests from all different stakeholders and kinds of people involved. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. Okay, for sure. Okay, good. No, wonderful. So this is just my interpretation of it. Please correct me if I have gotten something wrong. I was taking a look at the district map that you guys have, and we'll talk about it in a second, but right now it's just commercial. Right now, as the ordinance stands, only commercial buildings are eligible to be included in the historic preservation overlay, which I think there's more. I think there's more properties, whether they're commercial or residential, that would be excited about being included. Right now, there is a process to either opt in or opt out of that preservation overlay. And that is the big thing that gets dicey with the Park Service, is they really just don't understand the strength of the private property rights we have in Arizona, and they don't like to see an opt-in or opt-out just on whims. There needs to be reasons like loss of integrity or, something gets demolished, there's a fire or something like that. And so we'll talk about that in a second. That is the hard one. And right now there are no individual historic landmark overlays. And I think that individual overlay process, hope, is going to be something that really will help the ordinance go forward.
You clarify that last point for me? No individual historic landmark overlay. What does that mean?
So in a typical CLG, we have the ability to nominate for a local landmark zoning overlay, local historic preservation landmark zoning overlay. Sometimes it's HP or HL. Either a district, like a group of properties in whatever shape or form it might be, or an individual property, just one, like just this building, for example. Actually, this might be part of a district, but for example, just this building, just on its parcel, could be considered its own standalone historic preservation landmark with a historic preservation zoning overlay. Does that make sense, or did I make it worse? Okay.
So just a question or a
Ah.
comment rather. So that's referring to properties within the Clarkdale Historic District that have their own designation?
No, see, it's usually either or, a group of properties that all are designated as local landmarks within the historic preservation overlay, or just one property. I'll explain a little more in a second, but yeah.
And just for the sake of clarification, because
Mhm.
these meetings are recorded and people do watch them
Okay, yeah.
online. Under current, which is in red,
Yeah.
it says opt in or opt out of preservation zoning overlay. That will be a problem.
I understand.
No, I'm saying, please clarify.
Oh, okay.
The way that our ordinance is currently written,
Yeah.
that people have the opportunity to either choose to participate with the ordinance
Right.
or not choose. That will be a problem with our ability to achieve the goal of the CLG,
Yes.
correct?
In the way that is written currently, yes, but we have an idea. But yeah, you are correct. And I understand that is really the crux of this, because it's the same crux in Douglas and the same crux in Chandler. So I'm not trying to compare you to those places, but it is important, and it is significant that, and I understand that in order to gain acceptance for a historic preservation ordinance, it needs to have something like that, to be able for properties to have that, owners to have that choice. Is that? did I
It
answer?
also has to do with Prop 207,
Yes, definitely.
which is out of our control.
Right, no,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's Prop 207, when it was enacted in 06 or 07, I think, it really stalled local historic preservation districts in a big way. There have only been, I only know of one, there might have been more, but I only know of one in Mesa that has been passed in the state since. So I know it's tough, but that's why what I am proposing is that we move to individual property historic landmark overlays as the primary way to designate. So instead of trying to make a district, draw district boundaries, figure out what those boundaries are, and then invite property owners within that boundary to opt in or opt out of the zoning overlay, instead we sort of erase the existing boundaries, and just encourage individual property owners to designate their own properties. And that way, it's a choice of the property owner, and they are the ones that are, opting in, if you will, to participating in the historic preservation overlay. But there's no sort of added pressure or imposition of a district. And I know that's a little funky, but especially for a small place, this could work because if just one building owner on Main Street wanted to opt into the overlay or opt into historic preservation, then they would apply for their own building, just for themselves, to be their own historic landmark. How does that sound?
So that's not, that wouldn't affect the Clarkdale Historic District, which is on the National Registry.
Mhm.
It's a completely different thing.
Talking about, yeah, I should have made that clear. The National Register boundaries are totally separate from local overlays for when we're talking about right now. It's a little unorthodox, and I know that it's a little, it could, I imagine that it could sound scary because we're sort of just like leaving it in the hands of the property owners to sort of pick whatever they want. But this way also, residential property owners can make their own properties an overlay and opt into the historic preservation guidelines and regulations.
So is there a minimum number of properties that would need to be in to qualify for the CLG? Could it be
Oh.
3 properties and then you could be a CLG?
No, so
Or-
I'm so sorry. That's a great question. You don't have to have any properties designated locally to become a CLG. You just have to have the possibility in the ordinance. Yeah. So that's the other thing. Like you guys have, and I'll talk about some points about great things in your ordinance that I really loved. But no, it does, like there are plenty of CLGs, more than half, I would say, that don't have any locally designated properties. But their ordinance just has the possibility. It's already there. And if someone in Taylor wants to dig out the historic preservation ordinance and make an application to the town of Taylor, they can do that because it's there. But it never has to happen. Yeah. And so this moving to the individual landmark idea, I'm looking at it as the primary way to do this. We will also have a secondary option in the new ordinance for a district if a group of property owners, whether the Main Street property owners want to do it, or I think you only need seven properties to make a district. So when we're looking at residential, you only need 7 properties to make a district. So if a group of 7 contiguous neighbors in the district wanted to make themselves a little district, we might be able to make that happen too. And the cool thing about this, exactly. The cool thing about this is, does someone own 4? See, okay, you're almost there. You're more than halfway there. Oh, that's so cool. Aw. No, but that's great. I mean, it's great to see that the right people are, and honestly, I'll be honest with you. I also run the residential historic property tax program, where if you're in the historic district, you can get a 50% reduction in your property taxes. Every single property owner that has called me from Clarkdale has been wonderful. Like, there has not been one person that's mad that they have to do preservation, that is angry because they don't understand it, that they didn't even know what they were getting. No, like everyone is excited and wants to do the right thing and loves their house and appreciates it. At least everyone I've talked to. My boots are not on the ground, but it is really heartening. I mean, that is just not the case in most places. So I have a lot of faith in Clarkdale to be able to do this because of how much I know the people that live here care. So that was an aside, but as I was saying, yes. So we do need to have the ability to locally designate a historic district. It does, the boundaries, if you could go to the next, the boundaries don't need to be predetermined. So what I'm proposing is, I was unclear about this map because it just has a district, but I wasn't sure about whether the district indicates that it actually is a zoning overlay on the official zoning map for the city. We didn't think so, but we weren't exactly sure. And, whether those properties have opted in or opted out already. So I know that folks worked extremely hard to create these boundaries. I'm proposing that we sort of break out of them and give the opportunity for historic preservation designation, local overlay to any qualifying property. So these are just hypothetical questions. No one has to answer them. I wasn't trying to sound annoying when I was putting them together, but I don't know. I mean, if you guys were maybe around when this map was created, could you give me some background if you know it?
Oh, sorry, I'll throw it on. I don't know where to start.
Okay.
Some of these, some of this, and these decisions were made outside of the commission.
Mhm.
And like the boundaries, I guess if I were to synthesize it, it was maybe created based on the fear of litigation.
Fear of what?
Litigation.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's often how these little like wiggles get
Yes, yeah.
in-
Yeah.
It seems like though, if we go to individual designation, that would take that away because the only people that would be part of the overlay would be people that wanted to opt in.
Yeah, I mean, what we heard from the public is there were businesses that were feeling like they were being forced into something that they didn't want to do. And so my hope would be that maybe this would seemingly take that pressure off. Yeah.
Exactly. It would literally, like, if a business wants nothing to do with historic preservation, they don't have to. And if their neighbor wants it, they can. So what do you guys think about I would like some more feedback about the idea. If you have any more ideas. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand. And looking at the map, I could tell like, oh, I'm sure these group of folks didn't want to be in it, so they went around it. But yeah, they would be largely sort of, it is the commercial area. I know the residential starts here, so it was definitely only looked at it for a commercial district. But yeah, the boundaries would then, either restrict or not, or hold people back or stop them from, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't know, I like the idea. And I really don't want to step on the toes of anyone who obviously did a lot of work to create these boundaries. So I don't know what you guys
I don't think you're doing that.
think.
That those folks are not here. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm usually like, okay, anyway. Yeah, and also what is this the PowerPoint out here?
That's the railroad is out there and the industrial area. Yeah. So there are a couple of historic buildings out there, like there's the Roundhouse.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
those things are part of the overlay, but yeah.
Flagstaff did it this way, weirdly, in the 80s. Flagstaff did it this way, where they drew a boundary and then said, only the properties in this area are allowed to choose to be in the overlay. And it has worked badly, because those district boundaries were drawn in the 80s. And now there are many more adjacent buildings to the Flagstaff downtown that are worthy of preservation, but were built in 1950 or 1960 and were outside of the historic preservation age limit in the time. Yeah. And yes, exactly. The Catholic school and also the city hall is slated for demolition to build a parking garage and a 6-story hotel. And it's all because the boundaries were drawn so long ago. Yeah. It's wild. And, Clarkdale has the extra special quality of all being built at the same time in 2 years. So that might not be the issue, but we never know what's going to happen. So,
Well, there are some of these homes that have had historic improvements done in the 70s. So those buildings, like my house, could be aging into maybe being eligible to be designated.
yeah. So this is kind of the top level. if we go down to the second level of this, not every single property in the historic areas of Clarkdale is going to be able to opt in because some of them are going to have a lot of modifications to the point where it's hard to recognize them for their historic qualities anymore. I know it's hard, but it's a case by case thing. We can't just sweep and say any house with a 2-story garage is disqualified. We can't say that. We look at every single property individually and we make that decision as the applications come up. So does that make sense? Okay. So like I said, we will still have the option for property owners to coalesce and make their own district if they want to. But primarily, we will let individual property owners take the initiative and opt to do an application to be a local historic landmark.
So if the CLG is established and nobody opts in, is the town still eligible for grants?
Yes.
To do things? Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Even if there's nobody that's opted in?
Nobody.
Okay.
Yep.
As I understand it, there just needs to be the potential of somebody opting in and we could still be a CLG.
Yeah, I have been working with Benson for a couple of years and I know. But it just takes like an intrepid group of people in 1990, whatever, to do it. And most of our CLGs were, well, I can't say that. Many historic preservation ordinances were written in the 90s. So that's its own challenge. But, Benson has never locally designated one property, but there's goodwill for it in their city council and administration right now. And so we have given them 2 or 3 grants over the past 2 or 3 years to do a new survey of their historic properties, to write a historic preservation plan for themselves. And, maybe those things lead to a local designation and a local overlay. Maybe they don't, but it's okay because it's all just in the pursuit of historic preservation in general. Yeah.
So are you saying that the town might be able to get a grant because we need to do it. There's been no survey since 1989. So we could get money to have somebody, because originally it was just like 5 residents that did the survey themselves. And that just makes me tired.
It is. It makes us tired. It makes research harder because, it's hard to tell whether a property is still there or not there. I mean, it's been almost 40 years. It's likely that property has changed in some way. So, that's a perfect example of that. But that's to say, I think maybe what's the next slide said. Oh wait, can you go to the next one? No, okay, never mind. Go back. Thank you. What was I going to say? What was I just talking about? Benson. Okay. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Yes. A survey. Okay. A survey. So the Park Service wants to see a survey and an inventory of historic properties in Clarkdale as a list form, and then also geospatially as well. So that takes a little bit of legwork with your guys' GIS capabilities, but it's able to be done. The survey does not need to be completely re-updated in order to qualify for the CLG. It just needs to be sort of refreshed, I call it. And that is often just like a day where Clover and I drive around and I take the list and go like, yep, that one's still good. Nope, that one's gone. Like, let's see if we can find this one. That one doesn't look the same anymore. So it's not a huge endeavor, but it's sort of a little step into, after certification, maybe doing a resurvey of the town.
So there's 173 historic properties in the district. So you'd have to look at all of them. Yeah.
But we just drive by. We don't necessarily like stop and park at each. I just did this with Sholo like last year, and it took us a day and a half. Like it wasn't a huge deal. So, and Clarkdale is much more compact than Sholo. So, we can do it. Okay, so these are some things, and again, I'm not trying to be silly or like pander to you guys. I really, but in reading your ordinance, these are some things that are like not present in many of them. And yes, no, thank you. Yeah, good, because every single one of these things are reasons that in other CLGs, buildings have been demolished because they don't exist in their ordinances. Every single one, multiple buildings. And so you guys have, in a lot of ways, set yourself up for success already. I don't even need to tell you to do these things. Just having incentives, having historic preservation development incentives, like right in the front of the ordinance. That is, no other CLG in Arizona has that. None. So like, even if it's simple as, expediting reviews or waiving permit fees, or in other places, reducing parking minimums, something like that, it all helps a little bit for a property owner that's excited about rehabbing their building and participating in the preservation. This is a huge one. Let me start here, actually. Having your design standards integrated into your historic preservation ordinance is also not something that we see very often. And it's good for Clarkdale because you don't need, 200 pages of design standards. You just need 4, which is wonderful, which is great. But oftentimes those documents, the ordinance and the design guidelines, design standards are separate. And in some cases, Prescott is dealing with this right now, which is why their Old City Hall is getting demolished, and why that really unfortunate building is going in Whiskey Row is because the preservation ordinance doesn't say that you have to enforce the design standards. It just doesn't say that. And here, there's no question about it because you've got them in the ordinance, and it says you shall follow these design standards. Not you can or you may or are encouraged to, but you must do it. And that, I can't tell you how big of a deal that is, you guys. Like, that is huge. That's really the big one. Also, just like, again, Clarkdale has okay, let's just keep going. This is awesome. This is great. A lot of thoughtful foresight went into this. It's easy to tell. Okay. So how do we sell this? And it's hard, right? Because especially in Arizona, people hear the words historic preservation and they just go like, no, that's the government. They're going to tell me what color to paint my house and you can get off my property. And nothing could be farther from the truth. Really, genuinely, historic preservation is about empowering property owners to know the choices that they either can and can't make to treat their houses however they want to. And if what they want is to preserve their historic qualities, integrity, then here's a way we can help you do that. So a huge part of my job is just literally traveling around Arizona and trying to dispel these misconceptions. A huge part, because it doesn't matter where I go, there's someone that thinks historic preservation is an infringement on their property rights, period. And it just isn't. And what we're trying to do here in Clarkdale is to say, it's not, it's a choice that you're making instead. So these are some things that, just some bullet points that are often out there. And it really just like, sometimes it just takes a conversation, or it just takes a minute to talk to someone about it. And, word spreads, whether it's good or it's bad, it spreads. And so, if we can start the engine of, making preservation a good thing and making people excited about it, that's always what we want to do. Okay, this is a little silly slide, but these are all things that CLGs are doing right now to just do preservation stuff. It doesn't, again, have to be going through a zoning process and designating zoning. It's easy to sort of get in the weeds and kind of like blinded by that stuff, but just like celebrate a historic preservation month and however you want to. Flagstaff has History Happy Hour, which is so well attended, you wouldn't even believe. Of course, Cottonwood has their home tour. I'm working with San Luis down in the southwest corner of the state, and they're not a CLG yet, but they are already starting a legacy business program, which, might not be right for Clarkdale, but there are some businesses in San Luis that have been there for 80, 70 years, and those are things to celebrate. So there's all historic preservation can just look like all kinds of things. It doesn't have to be one thing. It doesn't even have to be saving buildings. It can be celebrating, educating, conferences, and just bringing people together. I don't know. I think that's all I got for you guys. Yeah. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I have two more things. I'm so sorry. Please. In the other direction, hopefully. Okay, so here's where we are. I know it seems long, but I found this little graphic and it delighted me, so I put it in. This looks like a long road, and a lot of things can be happening at once. And these are the big things that everything's here I've pretty much already talked about. But these are sort of all of the different boxes that I took this from the CLG application. So, it can take a year. It can take a minimum of a year, I would say. But we also need to strike while the iron is hot, and city staff is excited, and you guys are excited. So yeah, and so once you become a CLG, you can join the ranks of all the other CLG. And Cottonwood is our most recent one in 2014. But it's been a while. There's a reason that it's been a while since we've certified a new CLG, and it's because everything is just so yeah, this is a fun slide. And when we have 31 CLGs, I don't know how the slide is going to work anymore, but I'll figure it out. Yeah, there you go. So that is actually all I have for you guys. Clover has these slides, so she can distribute them if you're interested. I am happy to come back and, make a pitch to mayor and council. I'm happy to come back and make a pitch to any sort of homeowners, neighborhoods, groups, or associations, business groups, or anything. Like, I love just coming and talking to anyone about preservation. So thank you for bearing with me. Do you guys have any other questions I can ask right now? Yeah.
I'd just like to ask one question. Have you actively participated in an application review process with the Park Service?
Doing it right now.
Are you? Excellent. Thank you.
And it is really frustrating. It's really frustrating. But I am actually feeling optimistic about it right now. And if you would have asked me that 2 weeks ago, I would have said I am not optimistic about it. So they're becoming willing to compromise, which is something good. So actually, I have one more thing. Someone mentioned earlier, I think that the Clarkdale Bandstand project received a Governor's Award for Historic Preservation. Because you guys really deserve it, and because this process of city council having already made a decision to launch it was already made, and it was the people of Clarkdale, the citizens, the concerned public said, does this really need to happen? It doesn't. And you guys got together, you rallied, you made proposals and budgets, and it changed the city after the time. It changed the town's mind, which never happens. That never happens. Really never happens. And then was never such a venture. All these different partners. So the year late that I have would like to present you with your certificate. I will present it to you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I forgot my manners. I'm supposed to be saying chair and manners before every time I said something. All right. But thank you guys. Really. You're wonderful. Yeah. Yes.
I have one last question for you. Does SHPO have educational swag, handouts and stuff that we could have?
Sort of. I'm working on them.
Okay. Okay.
And what I can do is maybe I can talk to you later, and you can give me an idea of what you would like to see on a flyer, and then I can make a special one because every place is so different and it's hard.
Yeah, because one thing I will say is we've been talking about ways in which we can better reach out to the community. And it feels like in the discussions that we've had in the past,
Mhm.
having someone from SHPO or having the SHPO's logo on educational material will go farther than, say, just one of us at a table
Completely.
talking to people.
Yeah, and we would want to collaborate on that, on those with you, just to make sure that the information is all copacetic and up to date. So yeah, 100%, we should, please let me know, how helpful, what should be on it to be most helpful.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, on to new business. Article 17.8, Historic Preservation Commission update. Staff, anything you all want to mention?
Yeah, so what we're looking at is a section of town code that established the commission, and within there was a bunch of kind of directives is how I would describe it on what the commission specifically needs to do. But that kind of stuff doesn't really fit in code. It's not necessary for it to be in there. If you look at the establishment of any other commission in town, it's a page and a half, maybe, or a page establishing those commissions. So we're looking to revise this, not to take away any of this commission's abilities to do anything, but everything that we've kind of gone and did a strike through on are things that we'd like to see put into some bylaws and or the strategic plan moving forward. It fits better doing that, and it allows us to make adjustments in doing those things. Because if you put it in the code, you have to do it as it's in the code. There's not really room for flexibility without going and changing the code on what that is. Also, putting it in the code makes it basically you're required to do this. And if the commission feels that there's something in here that, okay, maybe if you don't necessarily want to do it or you don't want to do it right now and put it off, it just is not a good idea to have some of these in here as actual codified requirements. So we're looking to have the commission make a recommendation to council because it is in the town code. It only goes to council for action after it comes here. It's not something that would go to the planning commission because it's not in the zoning ordinance. So hopefully you've had a chance to read through it. If you got any questions, concerns, comments, anything like that, it's more, we look at it more as a housekeeping item. And like I said, we're not taking these things away. We're just moving them into other documents that allow us to work on them better.
So one comment is that some of these things are requirements for CLGs, like the survey. I think there's one thing in here about doing a yearly report to SHPO if you're a CLG. And my concern is that that doesn't get lost.
No,
But I realize we're not as far along as the CLG process as I was hoping. So
yeah, we'll cross-reference this, and I don't remember, did we show you this yet? Or if not, it's something that we're definitely going to discuss with Ariana so that we don't take anything out that would hurt us in that aspect. So if we need to leave it in there, we're absolutely going to leave it in there. So it shouldn't be an issue as far as that's concerned.
because if we're not doing the survey and the yearly reports, then we're not following the laws.
But again, it's something that would go just to a different set of documents. So it's
Right.
still going to live in different documents that the commission would take on.
I'm just trying to speak to your concern about
Right.
having it in this document.
Right. No,
And-
that's fair. And like I said, we'll work with Ariana to make sure we're not taking anything out that would potentially hurt us.
But oftentimes it's not the sole responsibility.
Yeah.
So we just make sure that.
If I may?
Yeah.
I reviewed both the original document, which it provided me access several months ago, and then this edited document. And I understand Councilperson Mallows, did I get your name right? Councilperson Cynthia Mallow. Did I get it right?
I'm a commissioner.
Commission person. Anyways, I appreciate your concerns. I think this was a remarkable editing job.
Thank you.
And I believe that your concerns would be covered in staff responsibilities and the ordinance as opposed to the definition of the commission, which needs to exist. So just wanted to state clearly, I did read both drafts. It's nicely done.
So it is on for action for the commission to make recommendation to council. With that said, you can make that recommendation, you can table it, and we can bring it back with any potential revisions that we might have with Ariana. Before taking it to council, you can make a recommendation that it goes to council subject to that coordinated review. Which is really kind of up to the commission and how you want to move this forward. If you're ready for it or want to bring it back one more time, it's up to you guys. to
So
decide.
I don't know if the rest of the commissioners want to spend more time with it or not, but are you saying that we could approve it either now or in the future with the stipulation that this will be reviewed with SHPO and have their input in terms of where these things should go in our
Correct.
town code?
Correct. And if we do it like that, which is not unheard of, we would just kind of send out the commission, any changes that we've made, but the action would have already been taken. So it would just kind of be like a FYI, this is what we're doing. Another action would not be coming to the commission after those changes. But again, it's up to you guys to decide how you want to move that forward. No, because because like I said, this is just the chapter that establishes this commission, more so than anything, and very broadly what the commission's duties are. But like I mentioned, and as you can see in here, it gets into really specific detailed items. So yeah, it would likely just be re-adding something and or just modifying a little bit of language here and there, but nothing like no inserting full page changes.
Anyone want to put forth a motion for approval contingent on SHPO review?
I move that we approve the current draft of Article 17-8 Historic Preservation Commission update with the understanding that SHPO review would take place.
Any second?
Mel, second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right, the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, on to discussion items. 4th of July celebration. I believe there were a few possible things that we had talked about, right? One was a float, right? That was the big one. We got to find a float. That'll be hard. And then the other one was just having a table or some other sort of public facing thing where we could interact with folks as they're celebrating. Any ideas?
I would like to recommend a dignified booth in the park as opposed to, my mind has gone many directions with the float, and I was contemplating the Perkins family home. That might still be available. But I would like to put forth that we have an information booth in the park.
I like that idea too. I think that that's better than all of
I
us trying to
agree.
get together and put together a float. That just, there's a lot to that.
It's not going to be on a different float. So, yeah. So, so maybe we could have some SHPO information in our booth.
Yeah.
I'd also like to suggest maybe coordinating with the museum. Because they're probably, I can imagine they might be having a booth too.
A booth and a float.
And oh my goodness. Oh, so that's why you're okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe just coordinating the booth with them. That way there'd be more people and just, I don't know. That would be my recommendation.
Adjacent booths.
It's a long day.
Yeah.
Trying to come up with something fun, like, otherwise it's just kind of a boring booth unless you're one that wants to know, like, I don't know. And I have no idea what I mean by that, but try to do something to draw people in and find
Is the museum gonna have?
We
ice
could
cream?
wear top hats. or
something
bowlers.
fun. I don't know.
Okay.
Costumes, music,
It-
ice cream. I don't know. So like
Does,
something.
yeah, is the museum gonna do ice cream again, or can we steal that idea?
Yeah.
Someone's going to do the ice cream, but not the museum.
Okay.
Because it's a big thing. So it's messy.
And we got, we still have a couple months, so we can make this a topic at the next meeting as well. So any ideas, we can see what kind of information that we can make available, educational materials, or what SHPO might be able to provide us to give out there. We can keep talking about it. In the meantime, we'll let the Parks and Rec Department know that this is, what you guys want to do. And then we can just, like I said, the next meeting and even the June meeting, we can kind of finalize what it is we're going to have there and what that looks like.
Does the town have some funding for certain things? If it's.
We'd have to check on that.
Okay.
I can get back to you on that.
Okay, just thought I'd ask.
Okay.
Oh. Oh,
I was just, I apologize, but I was in Tucson when they were moving all the historic buildings north of Broadway to widen the road. And all of these old houses that we lived in college were being pulled back into the alley. So I just pictured a parade of houses.
We could have some information, education on what is a CLG and what are the advantages to property owners, and just start the whole process of education, because I think that's a big part of what we need to do.
yeah, it's a good opportunity for sure. Anything else about 4th of July before we move on? Okay,
Would someone here be able to reach out to it sounds like you're working with the museum already. Would you be able to coordinate, or like just ask them if that would be doable, having a booth together?
I'm the liaison of the commission to the board and to the museum's board.
Okay.
So we'll discuss it at our next
Okay,
meeting.
that would be great.
okay. On to the strategic plan.
All right, so we would like to ask the commission to pretty please, we'd like to get this under control. And our thought, not that it couldn't go back into a table, but I gave an example of just kind of what something would look like with just like you said, we just want something like 2 to 3 goals that are, realistic and would be attainable within years. So again, this is just an example, and we can put it back into an Excel spreadsheet, but I just kind of wanted to show what we're looking for. So a little bit of homework between now and the next meeting, but if, you can each come up what you think would be, like I said, doable, actionable, measurable, projects that could be done between July of this year and then June of next year, through June of next year. And then we could, incorporate that into our strategic plan.
Oh, just for clarification,
Mhm.
you'd like, I mean, this is sitting here in front of me. And I think this is what's been making all the noise, microphone system. I'm just gonna turn it over.
Right.
So this is your proposed one-year work program strategic plan for the Historic Preservation Commission in this format?
It doesn't
No.
necessarily, no.
So this one that you have right
No,
here
right.
is what Clover and I were thrown
I-
in the beginning, and it is a mess.
I-
And
I was just going to support the reformatting and reorganization,
Thank you.
because this is certain, it would be easier to see the goals, the goals and objectives more concretely, and it would be easy enough to put, a timeline or, expectations for a deadline after each goal, with the key outcomes. And this is certainly digestible and comprehensible.
instead of
So
a
I-
table format,
Just,
I'm,
yeah.
and it's up to the commission, whatever you guys
Yeah.
want to see, however you want to do it. This is your strategic plan to do what you want with.
and I can, so whatever goals you guys come up with as a group and decide, the 2 or 3 that are the most important and doable that we're going to put into it. I actually already created, like an Excel sheet that it can go into. So I mean, either way, it's just whatever's decided, we can do either way. But
I think that the first 2 goals are going to be plenty for 1 year.
right? That's where I think I even said 1 to 3 maybe, or did I say 2? Basically, what seems the most feasible between the commission's time and staff's time to be able to complete the thing.
Um. Where the public can access that. I don't think there's a venue that won't really gonna be able to. But folks can certainly become aware that it exists and want to see it. I just wonder, I mean, I was thinking, it brought up, maybe one of our goals ought to be. Let's fix this.
Mhm.
And
Right,
Let's get
Yeah.
this thing fixed.
Yeah.
And as we're doing so, incorporate an additional goal or 2.
Yeah.
Once it's done, we'll have those.
absolutely.
And that, of course, fixing this might, that much of it goes away,
Mhm.
because it's still the virus format. And just something to think about. Yeah, because
Yes,
it's representative of us because it exists, yet, again, maybe it won't be seen, but I prefer it not to be.
right,
yeah,
exactly.
and just to remind the commission, a lot of what's on this table came out of council's strategic plan, which they just did a new one. We don't have it here yet, but when we finalize this, I'd like to bring in the historic preservation stuff from their most recent strategic plan that they just did back in February. And then we can make sure that we're in line with what they're looking for as well. But your idea is, yeah, it's very good, because I think when we do get a strategic plan in place, it's beneficial to put that on the website so people can see it. But yeah, this one, probably not.
We like this.
I know, right?
Chair, and Commission, if as a point of information, one of the things I often do is, have study sessions with town, historic preservation commissions, or like a little retreat for a couple of hours, where we can sit down and talk about all this stuff and sort of brainstorm and do some visioning. I'm absolutely available to help lead that with you guys, but I also don't think that you guys are so. So, understands, but.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the other thought that we had, kind of to go with what Ariana just said, if you do want to incorporate her help, right now we have this, as Clover said, from July 1st to June of next year. So it basically would follow the fiscal year. Doesn't have to do that. My only thought though is it's better to do either the fiscal year or the calendar year. It just makes it easier to keep track of things rather than try and do this like in August or something or that kind of thing. So if you want to spend more time on this, I'm not saying you have to, but if you wanted to spend that much more time on this, we could work on it for the next 8 months and have it ready for January 1st to follow the calendar year. So it's really kind of, again, up to you guys on how you want to see that and what your preference is.
I'm confused. Does our town organize itself through 3 different calendars? Or does everything start and stop July 1st to June 30th?
So fiscal year is really more for budget than anything. I mean, there's some other things that can go in with it, but it's really, you know, for something like this, it doesn't have to be a fiscal year. Like I just mentioned, council just did their strategic plan in February to get that going. That's not really following one or the other. But, you know, I know one thing that we just did with the commissions to follow the calendar year was selection of chair and vice chair. And just those kinds of things just become easier to track on either fiscal year or calendar year basis.
Yeah, it seems to me that the point of this is to track the success of the current commission. And so it makes a lot of sense to do it on the cycle of when commissioners might leave or new commissioners might come in.
So you're suggesting that this is a sample and we work on a strategic plan that starts January 27?
That's an option, or you can do it as it's listed here right now. We could start at July 1st of 26 and work on it through June 30th of 27. And then when that time rolls around, we look at the strategic plan again and say, okay, this is where we met the mark. We're done with it. We're not quite there. Let's keep it up there, move it up on the priority list. Let's add these other things in that we didn't put in this time. It's just kind of one of those things that's a working document as time goes on that could, I mean, it could change if it needs to. If you guys put, you know, 2, 3, 4 things on there and they all get done in 6 months, if we do it sooner.
I'm definitely. So I was just going to throw out something bold. And what if the strategic plan that we worked on concluded December of 27 so that we can embrace the things that we're trying to achieve now?
So make it a year and a half.
Just this
And
one
that's,
time.
and that's totally an option too. It is.
This one time to kind of get recalibrated, regrouped and organized since we're all starting afresh.
It's completely up to you guys.
Just a thought. It's hard for me to contemplate the world not starting July 1st and ending June 30th, but
It's totally up to you guys, whatever the commission wants. So conversation that you guys can have and you know, whatever you want to do.
So you're saying we should take close to 2 years to develop a strategic plan? Oh, okay. I'm lost then.
my suggestion is to develop a strategic plan that will take us with our goals and objectives through to December of 27, because we're in 26 right now, but we finish up the next couple of months, right? In this, I can't help it. It's years and years of an academic calendar. But we try to get aligned with when commissioners are brought on, which is January. And we come up with goals and objectives. So our strategic plan should start right now, really, and we start working on goals and objectives, and we have it conclude December of 27. Or not.
It just gives you more time and then it'll align with start the next.
Or I'll throw out one more. You could do a 6-month one for now. and do it through the end of 26 and start a new one in 27. Again, it is totally up to you guys, whatever you want to do.
I think your idea, Commissioner, is probably the better one. Looking at these goals, we can't do this in 6 months. So,
Right, and again, these goals are just examples. I mean, it's, you know, I'd like you guys to like definitely think about it and brainstorm before the next meeting. Because there might be ones that are, you think have a higher priority that are in this, you know, this.
And keep in mind too, what we just looked at earlier in the meeting with the town code part of it, a lot of those things are coming out that could be folded into the strategic plan as well. So keep those ones as in your minds as well. And I mean, you don't have to make any decisions now. It's here for discussion, so talk about it. And, you know, this will be an ongoing agenda item for the foreseeable future.
I'll say after a year of, I think, what felt like struggling to achieve some goals that we had put down, it would be nice to give ourselves some time and create some achievable goals. Last year was a little frustrating with the sign project, I think.
And what this would look like moving forward if, once we get that strategic plan in place, whatever those top goals are, we'll bring those as agenda topics so that we can have the discussions on how to move forward, what needs to happen, who needs to do what. So they're not just sitting there and nothing's getting done. So they become agenda topics for most meetings until we get them completed.
Anything else on the strategic plan? So we'll all be ready to come with some ideas for the next meeting. Okay, gazebo sign mock-up.
All right, so we were tasked with just coming up with some language that actually references the governor's award that we received to be put into, incorporated into the gazebo sign that is existing there now. This is totally just a mock-up idea. I mean, I just want everyone's input. Did we bring, oh yeah, so this is the actual size of the sign. So you could, but anyways, so just thoughts, ideas. We wanted to make it, yes, yeah, we wanted to make it legible. I was instructed not to change any of the original text. However, to make it legible, to have that donors list on there, there was a lot of names and you would have to make everything so tiny. It would be hard to read. So, I did come up with the QR code. But Amy actually had some really good other ideas about it. And she also talked about actually fixing the grammar in the original text, which is totally fine with me. Like I said, I was just following instructions and stuff, but I think fixing the grammar would be great. And Amy has actually offered to do that. So that's something we'll be doing, but we can change the picture in the back. We can take, you know, whatever you guys, we're just here to get your input.
Yeah, the hardest thing we ran into was adding new language and keeping that list of donors. And we don't want to discount that list either. So it's, you know, how do we fit it all?
All fascinating information, but it is a lot of text. And I don't know that a lot of people would stand around long enough to read all the way to the Heritage Preservation Honor Award section.
So, with respect to that people won't stand around and read it, it's called visual exhaustion or literary exhaustion in a museum. People just can't do it. So it is a tremendous amount of text, and even on the larger format, it's just a lot to read. And if we were to break it down into bite-sized paragraphs or chunks, still a tremendous amount to read. I think there's a way to, and I'm not sure from whom you received the directive not to change anything, but I believe that we can maintain the content, but boil it down. But I would like to throw out the idea that we not include the image, the photograph in the background, because that too makes it difficult to read the text. And I believe that in the future, we would have the opportunity to provide more space to the history of the gazebo when we move forward onto the historic markers. We have 4 panels in the park where we could dedicate an entire panel to the love for our bandstand and gazebo and the history. And yeah, and I believe there's a way, I would like to believe that we could keep the germane and exciting key points in this, boil it down to make it more digestible, but include the Governor's Heritage Preservation Honor Award, because that does kind of bring us full circle at this point.
Like, I know you offered to kind of do some editing, but you're more than welcome to take a stab at.
No, I'm happy to
Happy to.
write a draft and, run it through the town and have it distributed to everyone to take a look at. But there's some subjective language in this which compromises, but it also, it's very busy and tiresome, and it would be great to be able to capture someone's attention with that sign right by the gazebo, and then they would know there's more to read on one of the panels.
And I, full disclosure, I am one that would have a difficult time standing reading the whole thing. I'm not that history buff that wants all those details. But
Yeah, neither am I.
I think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so options there. And it's clear what the options are.
I think it is important to include the donors list from 2004 because there were so many donors, including the nation, that donated.
Well, if the council is okay with it, I'm happy to take a stab at a draft for everyone.
Yeah, we would,
I'm not.
we'll run it by council too, to make sure that they would be okay with it, for sure, yeah.
So if the council gives us the green light, then Dr. Stein would edit it and bring it back to us for review. Okay. Anything else on the gazebo sign? Okay, anything anyone wants to put on the list for future agenda items? Okay, hearing none. Does anyone want to entertain a motion to adjourn?
I motion that we adjourn.
And I will second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.